Hey, everybody. Day 3. So today's topic is the second question of your daily work. So yesterday we talked about possibility, which is where it starts, right? Remembering that you have a goal and feeling the possibility of it rather than your default, which is to be realistic. I know. So today is question 2, and it's a done energy. And even writing that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds very woo-woo." And I'm not woo-woo. I don't self-identify as woo-woo. I self-identify as practical and systematic and tangible, and that's what I want to give you. Because there's plenty of woo-woo out there, but I wanna make this so simple, so tangible. So what I'm gonna do in this 10 minutes is I'm gonna show you what done energy is not, because again, you're going to cycle. I think sometimes we think that we're going to just like nail it and it's like, whoop, light switch is flipped. We're good. No, no, it's a gas gauge. And so, always in your business, you're going to be cycling. I ran out of gas, I filled it back up. I went back into hustle and consuming and feeling overwhelmed, all the things, right? And then I remembered and it came back. It's very normal, and the reason that I make money as fast as I make it, the reason I make more money than I used to, is because I learned how to come out of the cycle quicker. I learned to see the cycle, which is part of your patterns that you're identifying in your daily part where you learn from yourself. So, here's what done energy does not look like. So, when you're doing question 2, you're going to have the tendency to come at it from who you are right now today, thinking about the future, or you're going to go into the future and you're going to imagine it. Usually it's this moment and you're going into the future. But here's what done energy does not look like: it does not feel anxious. Done energy doesn't feel frantic. It doesn't feel overwhelmed. And it doesn't feel uncertain. Right? These feelings right here, as I was writing it out, I could feel them all. And I was like, fast, right? So inside of your body, it's like, boo, it's fast. You feel very tightly wound, is might be how you describe it. You're going to feel closed, right? It's a closed flower, but it's also like that, like, oh, I've got my armor on. You're going to feel closed inside of these emotions, and you're going to feel this tightness. Okay. So when you're not in a done space, you're going to feel like this. When you're not in a done energy, you're going to overcomplicate things and you're going to second guess yourself, right? When you are not in a done energy, when you think about the future and your goal being done, that one client hitting 100,000 this year, whatever the goal is, right? Because we can have small and big, you're going to feel relief when you're not in a done energy, because your mind is like, oh, we did create it. It did work out. You're going to focus on yourself. You guys, our natural human wiring is our biggest obstacle. You are your biggest obstacle. And one of those things is focusing on you. So this makes perfect sense if we need to make sure that, we're taking care of ourselves. But in business, when we're learning how to serve other people, we have to also focus on them. So here's what this sounds like when we focus on ourselves. I wrote the thoughts down. I have so much to do. I don't know how to fill in the blank, right? Our brains have all sorts of things. I don't know what else to try. I'm doing everything I know to do. I'm doing so much, right? It gets into that like, I'm doing it. I almost kind of deserve it. But notice they all start with I. I have, like, right? I have so much to do is the overwhelmed one. The I don't know what to do. It's all focused on yourself. And we even ask questions when we're not in a done energy that are focused on us. What else can I do? How can I reach more people? It seems like a place to be that would create the results, but it doesn't. Okay. And even this relief, I want to tell you what these thoughts sound like, because you might feel it. You might be like, yeah, actually, for my step number 2, I have been feeling relief. There is not relief in the future, right? You don't feel relief because this is like your birthday. You're not like, oh, thank goodness I made it to my birthday. You're like, yeah, I knew it was my birthday a week ago, right? Actually, it's going to be my birthday next week, right? So today I was like, what am I going to do for my birthday? Right? There's that like eagerness, but you know it's coming. You have to know that your goal is coming. There is a simplicity of it, but I'm getting ahead to the next page. So the relief might sound like, oh, it really does all work out. So you want to watch. Does your question 2 sound like this? It really does all work out. I know what I'm doing, right? Because behind that thought, behind both of those is this like, I was worried it wasn't going to work. Behind the thought, I know what I'm doing is, I don't know if I know what I'm doing. So it's like your brain's trying to get relief from the comfort of, well, since I got the result, I must know what I'm doing. People really do want this, right? Underneath that is people don't want it. That's your fear. But when it's done, you're not like these thoughts sound they're very like clear indicators of that relief. I knew I could do this, right? It's a very close to, I have no idea if I can do this or not, versus I always know my birthday was coming. Of course, it's my birthday. Um, and then like I'm finally doing it, right? Like I knew it was going to happen. Now I'm finally doing it. These thoughts actually don't have a very strong emotion with them because relief isn't a strong emotion. So these are the emotions of not done energy. Let's see. I'm just reading through the comments here to see if anybody has any thoughts on that before we move on. Jennifer, Joe, where do we watch the replays? There's actually a replay page at the very top of the pin post groups, and then every 6 a.m. email has a link, and all the replays are on that exact same page. Let's see. Happy birthday yesterday, Taylor. So let me know if you have any questions on this, and we're going to go on to the next part. So this is not done energy. It's kind of confusing. Done energy, not done energy. No, it's all not done energy. And you want to have, right? We talked about acceptance. You want to have acceptance that you're learning how to do step 2, that you're learning how, because there are no right or wrong thoughts. There are no thoughts that are right or wrong. I know I said that just 2 different ways, but that is a huge belief that your brain is probably believing. I need to do it right. But right doesn't exist. The right thought is the one that creates the result you want. It's the one that creates the feeling in your body that feels good and drives you and doesn't like cause you to keep pushing, right? So it's, does it create the result I want? And do I feel the way I want to feel? That's how you're going to know, right? But that sounds really vague and abstract. I don't do mindset like that, right? We have very clear ways that we know, when do we stop? How do I know if it's working? So let's look at done energy. When it's done, right? Question 2, I want you to think about, you had like a ton of laundry to do. And when the laundry's done, what do? You're like, and you feel your whole body relax. You have this calmness, right? This is like the number one thing that we miss. We think we don't get to give ourselves this deep breath and this calmness until we get there. But you have to give it to yourself now. Because question number 2 is about remembering to take that breath and feel that calmness in your body of like, it's done. I did it. And you might need to practice feeling that about laundry or grocery shopping or making some really cool meal. But you're only practicing it there so you can take that over to your goal in your business. Because that done energy, it's a deep breath. It's like, it's calmness. It's that feeling, right? There's nothing there. It's just, and calmness feels kind of heavy on bottom and like really light and open. And your shoulders just keep falling. You're like, I'm so relaxed. I'm calm. When I'm calm, I talk slower, but I do it on purpose. I do this for you guys, but I also do it for me. Because my inclination, if you meet me in person, I'm going to be like, I'm going to be so excited. I'm going to talk fast, just like that. But when I coach and when I talk to myself, I come into this space where I talk slower. Because this will actually create a feeling in your body listening, but it creates one in my body too. And this is the energy for me that I create in. This is the done energy. You're going to have very few thoughts. I just have very few thoughts now. I didn't used to. But when you're in a done energy, you're practicing having no thoughts. You're practicing, right? When the laundry's done, your mind isn't spinning. It's calm. And so the thoughts you have there are very simple. Your business, your thoughts, everything is simple and you feel accomplished. In that done energy, right? It's calm. I would say my other feeling in there would be certain. I feel accomplished. I feel certain. I feel calm. My thought about my life and my business is that it's simple. And it sounds like, I wrote down some thoughts so you can hear this too. It's done. Right? But it's like every day when I say this, I'm just like, right, deep breath. I'm like, it's done. And some of you guys are writing this, and I know your inclination is you want to check it off the list. You love that homework and you did it. But you want to do this slow. This is why you want to write it with your hand. You don't want to do it in your head. And so you want to be breathing and thinking, it's done. Like feel that change in how your body is, because your body is more likely going to stay in that tight, hard, fast space until you teach it that it's okay to relax and feel calm. You're going to be thinking something like, I created this. And when I think that thought, I picture what I create. But you picture it right now today, right? So when we go into the future and we see the thing we created, like I think about today, like today I'm creating this. Like when I was thinking about this training, my thought was that I started becoming the person who has 550 people registered for a training. I started becoming this person years ago. I started becoming her. So whoever you are today, you're becoming somebody that you want to be in the future. Right? And so it's this idea of like, I created this moment right here. And this is what I want you to think of for yourself. Who you are in business right now today, wherever you're at, you created this being who you were before. And when you start really owning, I created this, and you see how it's true, your brain makes so much easier for it to realize that you create things. Another thought it might sound like is, I love my business, my clients, right? But it's this love and appreciation. It's like, I love that I can run a business online. Like this whole quarantine thing is cool, but like my life hasn't changed. I'm still coaching. I'm still working 40 hours a week or whatever, right? Nothing's changed for me. My family's all here, but I love that I have a business that runs like this, right? It's that love. Like I'm thinking the thoughts, and when it's done, you're going to be thinking the thoughts, which means you have to think them now today. It's working. Right? That's another thought that you just like feel your body, or you're going to feel it tense up and resist. You guys, your brain's inclination is going to be to find you all the ways it's not working. Your actual doing job is to find the ways that it is. Your brain doesn't know how to tune into things. Just like if you tell it to go look for yellow cars, it will. And right now, what your brain on default is doing is you're telling it to look for how it's not working and how everything kind of sucks a little and how you're missing something and you're doing it wrong. That's like the undertone. You never gave it directions to do that, but that's like the undertone. And so your brain does it. You have to teach your brain to find it's working. And another thought it might sound like is like, when I set a goal, I get it. Right? That one feels good. I like that. Okay. So pop in the Q&A box if you have any questions about this, and let's raise some hands and get some coaching. Melody says, really interesting regarding relief. I do think that a lot without realizing it. Yeah. Courtney says, my mind is blown. So helpful. This not done energy looks very similar to my daily work. Right? This is the part where we don't judge. We just keep learning. Right? Because the version of you who started to do it wrong, that's what your brain's going to say, always had to do it that way to become the person who did it the next way. You don't get to know the whole journey of who you have to become ahead of time. When I set a 3-year goal to make $1 million next year, right? When I set that 3 years ago or 2 years ago, all I knew is that one of the things that my future self did is she had her money together. So the very first thing that I did is that I went out and I got the Profit First book and I started following those percentages. But I just started what I knew to do next, right? It's the Frozen 2 song. Just do the next right thing. And I just did that. And I didn't know, right, when I wrote that down and when I started doing that, what the next thing was going to be, and the next thing and the next thing. All I knew was what I had to do next. Every single one of you, all you have to do is this next thing, and it will be revealed to you the thing you will do after that to keep moving and becoming the person who has your goal naturally. Lisa says, I knew I could do it. So sneaky. It is a sneaky thought. Even though relief isn't a strong feeling, it's what we want to get to still. No, you don't want to get to relief. You want to get to calm. You want to get to neutral. You want to get to certain. But I think neutral is a good place. If you're spending a lot of time in negative, seeing your neutral data is a really powerful place, because for the first time, right? Because usually what we do is we try and go from feeling negative to feeling positive. It's not working. No, it is. It is. It is. It's almost like a justification. But instead, you want to go from it's not working to here's the data, right? Because data is very neutral. And sometimes you guys use that neutrality against yourself because you plan all the pieces and you're like, well, I know it's going to work because I just have to do this and this and this. But you want to find the data, which is like, what did I do? What are the numbers? What are the numbers telling me? How am I learning from myself in this moment? Right? The goal is neutral, having it or not having it is neutral, and finding that space of neutrality is a really big relief from being in the negative so much. Kristen said, I've been saying I knew I could do it when I get clients, and I totally see how this doesn't really serve me. Definitely feels like I wasn't sure. Yeah, great observation. April says, this is crazy. Doing the daily work this morning, I finally wrote down my goal as one new client this week. Previously, it's just been one more comment, one more follower. And one of my thoughts from that future place was just speechless. Yes, right? There is no thoughts. I think that was more of a stunned speechless. I don't know if it would be a done, calm speechless. Nah, okay. But right, like that's going to be part of it. The done energy. Like my favorite thought is, you guys want to know what the best thought you could ever think is? None. Think no thoughts. Then you can learn how to put thoughts in. It's going to be so much better to have no thoughts about your business than the thoughts of frantic, like, oh my gosh, I have to figure this out. I don't know when it's going to work. What am I going to do? What else can I try? Right? It's like no thoughts are better than that. I created this. How is this different from I knew I could do this? I created this creates a sense of power, right? It's a sense of control. Like I did this, like I created it. I knew I could do this. Now, here's the thing. You might think that thought and also create a sense of power. It just depends. Everybody's going to have a different set, but sometimes there's words in there that give it away. Like I knew I could do this is more, you might think that. Like I always knew I could do this. You might think it. So it just depends on how it feels for you. Hence the reason, you guys, it's good to get in touch with the feelings. Sorry, I keep rubbing my cheek. How do you make decisions from being done? I know it's actiony. It's okay. The way you make decisions from it's being done is the way I check in with how I'm feeling, right? So when we make a decision, right, this is where second guessing comes in, but you just like, you make the decision. So here's what I think about when I make a decision. There's no right or wrong. And I'm like, I feel relief in that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if there's no right or wrong. And then I might ask myself, why do I want to make it this direction? And I look at the thoughts. And if there's something in there like, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. Something's wrong with me. Right? You want to kind of look for the scarcity element of it versus like, I want this. This is going to help me. This is like, I think this is exactly what I want to do. Right? So you just kind of, again, you're looking when you're making decisions, you're looking at the feelings when you're doing it. And my favorite thought around decisions is there is no right choice. There is going to be a choice you make that helps you move faster, but it's like you don't always get to know what that is. And sometimes the way you move faster is by making the decision and getting started, and then going slower and learning from yourself and figuring out why it worked or why it didn't work. My done energy has been a bit excited and bubbly. Is that wrong? No, sometimes you need it. It's cool to them play with. Can I also feel very calm and neutral? It's just a game. My people are going to love this. It feels like a good one, but it's always up to you. There's no right or wrong thoughts, you guys. It's how they feel. Some of you guys are going to like try on these thoughts. You're going to be like, yeah, that felt awful. And others, you're going to be like, no, that one felt good for me. There's no right or wrong. Just like how my feelings feel in my body might not be how they feel in your body. I love how imagination builds neuroplasticity. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So helpful to feel things. Now when I read my question 2 from this morning, but with this new done feeling, it's so much more powerful. Good. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. There's still there's still more under there, but I don't want to, I want to answer your questions. I actually love that because I think that's been an element we could add into this. So let's do some coaching.